Good evening, everybody, on this beautiful, sunny 29th of March, 2022. It is the 5th birthday of Volt Europa, and that is something worth celebrating. And the following hour, we're going to do that together. And afterwards, there's a social event with people from all over Europe gathering online. It's going to be a lot of fun. Simultaneously to this panel discussion that you can see on YouTube, there is groups of Volters all across Europe. We just called with a team in Sofia, but there's also teams in Berlin and in other locations across Europe watching this event and celebrating our 5th birthday together. We have a panel and I will not introduce them because they can introduce themselves. But before we get there, I would like to give the floor to one of us who has to leave in 10 minutes because there are a few things in life more important than Volt's 5th birthday. And that is the impact that Volt is trying to achieve. And Damian is going to achieve that impact in a second, well, because he's in the United States and he has an important meeting. So he has to leave in 10 minutes from now. But let me start by giving the floor to Damian to talk a bit about his experience in the past 5 years and look forward to the next. And then afterwards, the remaining participants will introduce themselves and we'll have a fun hour together. So without further ado, Damian, floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Ranier. I'm here actually in Congress, sitting right here in a hall. I can show you. It's like there's a statue there and stuff like that. But I'm here because I'm fact finding, if you want, for data policy. And I have to say, rather than fact finding, I'm finding myself explaining the European Union's policies on data to a lot of the stakeholders here, from the FTC, which is like the competition authority, to just now a White House representative of the industry and research unit, and now also to like 2 members of the House of Representatives. So I'm quite happy how cool Europe is, because we are quite far advanced when it comes to data policies. But that's not why we're here today. We're here today to obviously celebrate Walt's birthday. I can very well remember this day 5 years ago when I was sitting there with Andrea and Colomb, and we're thinking, should we really put it live? Should we really put it live? Are we ready? Like, are we really ready to do this now? I don't know. Like, what does it mean actually if we do this? And then obviously someone pressed the button and started posting on Facebook. And I think that's also my first lesson of all of this. Basically from my personal experience, it's good to push the button. It depends on what button, but like in general, it's good to like try things. You will never be fully ready, and I think that's the beauty of Volt, so to say, like, look, we are not a perfect party. We are for sure not a perfect party. We are not a perfect movement, but we are people that somehow felt that it makes sense to get out there and to try to not just watch and sit on the sofa and the couch, but to actually just, get up from it and try to do things. And then if you do things, mistakes will happen, And only those who don't do anything won't make mistakes. And I think it's really beautiful to celebrate this activity and of this I don't know, naive positive vision of saying, like, I'm going to just try something and I'll get there. And so that's I think for me the first experience. The second experience is obviously you can't do anything alone. Yeah, I mean, if I then see that after like a couple of days of us posting on Facebook about what we were wanting to achieve, the people signed up and said, okay, I want to do this. It's cool. And then, like, when you have people, you can actually make stuff happen. And because alone we are absolutely useless, but with many, I think we can achieve much. And so that's also a very positive experience, even though I also learned that, if 100 come, then probably 10 will stay. And that was very depressing for me in the beginning, because I thought I lost 90. But in the end, this is how actually any form of activity works. And I learned that a 10% retention rate, activity rate, is quite good. So just a bit of a nerdy side note on that. But like, first, I think if you don't try something, nothing will happen. Very simple. And second, you won't achieve anything if you just do it alone. I think these are, for me, still the call to insights that I connect with Volt. And then the question is, why? Why do you think you should get active? And for me, it is really about the state of the world that we want to change. I still have this fundamental feeling that we are at these crossroads where either we will go back into a kind of national, heads of state kind of people will figure out how they do deals together. And I very much fear that this is not a good system. And first, because it takes shitty decisions, and second, because it could lead to a mix-up of national interests and nationalism, which will lead to war. And that's why I think like the other system, like saying, okay, we need a parliamentary system is really the right one. And I realized here also, again, when I explain people what we're up to, I say, look, it's very simple. It comes down to two questions. First, do you want to do something on the European level together? If the answer is yes on anything, could be security, could be migration, could be, if there's any answer that is yes, then the next question is how. And the how is where we basically, I think, have the core of our message, which is we need to have a functioning and fast and efficient democratic, decision-making process that actually works. And that for me is like really, I think the beauty of what we want to do. And it still sounds abstract for many to think about democracy and the procedures of how we take decisions. But then obviously when you connect it to why we actually want that, which is to save lives, to help companies thrive, to make sure that the climate doesn't die on us. These are all topics that then connect to the actual real world. And even though it's very sad, since we started 5 years ago, the reasons for Europe to be united have been increasing constantly. The pandemic is just one example, but like also this war of the really unjust war of Putin on attacking Ukrainians. That's just another reason for Europe to really get its act together, to fight for energy independence, to think about how defense can actually work, and to see just the world through a lens together. And that has worked quite well, but I don't think well enough. And my own government is actually a bit of an issue in that context, but that's another another topic for another time. So what do I want to say with this? Our mission is as urgent as ever. There will always be people who will try to push it more into the direction of the nationalist, way of taking decisions. And I think we really need it. And we had great successes over the last 5 years that are absolutely worth celebrating. With, first, everyone who actually joined Volt, everyone who joined and got active out of the couch is a success for me. But also by really influencing the policy debate, by influencing how people think about politics, how European people think about the way they function. I think this is a huge, huge success. And then obviously everyone who put out their names to their faces to be candidates somewhere, be it in the south of Italy or for a national parliament anywhere. This is all for me like a huge success. And then obviously to get elected is it as well. Last point for me in terms of success of the last 5 years is that we have, I think, maintained a very good spirit. And that is really crucial because it's super tough at times. Yeah, it was from the beginning. If you discuss euthanasia and like other topics where strong emotions come in, it has always been tough because politics is tough and because there are real life problems out there, and it's not just like this fun exercise of playing a game, but it's an actual emotional topic. And I believe that at the beginning and also still now, we managed to keep it mostly very humane and friendly, and that I really hope will continue, because it's only then I think we will also be as interesting and attractive as we can be. And then the last point, and this might be a bit more solemn, but I just want to say that since the problems that we work on are so serious, I think it's super important that we also take them serious and that we understand that Volt is not a means in itself. It's not an end in itself. We don't do this to make Volt strive. Volt is, and it will sound very weird from my mouth, but it's completely irrelevant in the context of what we want to achieve. What we want to achieve is a better world, a better life, a better, fairer democracy, fairer rights for everyone in society. This is what we want to, that's what actually matters. And Volt matters because of trying to achieve these goals. So let's always test ourselves that we actually work towards achieving these outside effects, and then celebrate each other in the way that we do that. And then I think we have an amazing next 5 years to come. I think they will be absolutely fantastic and gorgeous. And maybe Rani isn't going to be happy about me saying this, but I will also see us run out of 27 countries for the next European Parliament elections. And this will, I think, be a fantastic success that we will celebrate together in only 2.5 years. So thanks a lot for your time, and sorry for having to jump out. And I wish you all a happy 5th Volt anniversary.
Thanks, Damian, and good luck in the United States. Thank you very much for your work the past 5 years, and I fully agree with it. If we have that perfect society, Volt can be deleted entirely, and we can just chill. But it will take some time to get there. So good luck in the US. Thanks.
I agree. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yes, there is a lot to celebrate. And the primary things that we can celebrate, of course, are the achievements for the society that bring us closer to the society that we are trying to create. Those are the things that we strive for. That is the reason why Volt exists. And the milestones that we as Volt have reached, like more than 100 elected officials across 5 European countries, are just a way to get impact in our society. And that is one of the things that I'm proud of, that we are reaching that impact. Let's go to the panel conversation. I forgot to introduce myself at the very beginning. For the ones that don't know me, my name is Reinier van Landschot. I'm 32 years old. I live in Amsterdam, and I'm the co-president of Volt Europe. I will briefly describe why I joined Volt. It's because I believe in a more unified Europe that's better capable of addressing the challenges of the 21st century. And I joined Volt in 2017. So a few years back. And I will now pass the mic to Ines to ask her exactly those two questions. Besides introducing yourself, could you mention when did you join Volt and why?
Hi, Reinier. Thank you for giving me the word. So my name is Ines Consonni. I am now based in Warsaw, but I actually was born and raised in Portugal by two wonderful parents, one who came from Brescia and another one who came from Porto. So from the very start, my whole education and upbringing was a very European one. That's how my parents raised me. They never told me to be Portuguese or to be Italian. They told me to be European, to say, you know, Europe is your oyster. You don't have to take sides. These are the places that you come from. So for me, joining Volt was a very natural decision, because the uniqueness of Volt is that Volt doesn't rally around a policy. It rallies around a vision that completely changes European politics. I actually am not sure the year I joined Volt, I have to say. I was about to check when you gave me the word, but I think it has been over 2 years now, and it has been quite a ride. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks, Ines. I look forward to hearing more later. Kim, same questions to you. When did you join Volt and why? And could you briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. I also had to kind of wiki to make sure when was the last European elections, and based on that, I know when I would join Volt. Hi, everyone. So my name is Kim Smouter. I am in the Volt Belgium chapter. I am co-chair of the Volt Values Board, which is a body we created to ensure that the chapter essentially enshrines the best values that Volt aspires to achieve. And I am also responsible for diversity at the European level as part of our community team, which is a team which is really about making sure that all Volters feel welcome and appreciated and celebrated when they join Volt. So it's really two aspects I think were really captured by our dear MEP. So I joined Volt in November 2018. Just before the European elections. And what really motivated me to join Volt was reading a newspaper article about this new pan-European movement, which on the one hand wasn't trying to be dogmatically left-leaning or dogmatically right-leaning. And this idea that actually we would try to go beyond dogma and we would try to find practical solutions for everyday ordinary citizens' problems was something which I was really aspiring to, and I couldn't find myself in any of the traditional political parties. And so finding a place like Volt, which is really about, on the one hand, being quite pragmatic about the policy solutions that we try to champion, on the other hand, being very pro-citizen citizen and really citizen-centric in the approach that we take in trying to solve the world's biggest riddles. And at the third time, kind of also really capturing this idea that, you know, we're evidence-based, that we're trying to find solutions which really fit and work for everyone. That to me was really like a bing, 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 check, check, check. This is what I want to join to try to make Europe a better place. So that's why I joined Volt. And so far it's been a very interesting journey, and I look forward to chatting more about it.
Thanks, Kim. Beyond dogmas, beautifully put. Thank you. Next up, David.
All right. Yeah. My name is David Zühlke, based in Berlin, half Irish, half German. I think I had my first Volt meeting at the end of 2017. I was approached with, "Hey, David, don't you want to do social media stuff for a pan-European party?" And I was like, "A pan-European party? That's pretty awesome. Why didn't that exist before?" So at the beginning of 2018, I started to handle social media for Volt, basically. And I did that for, I think, 3.5 years or so. And yeah, I think I mostly joined based on that idea that, look, we are all Europeans, we have to act united. We need pan-European parties, and Volt seems to fill the gap that I was longing for without even knowing it. And the moment I stumbled upon it, I joined it.
Cool. Thanks. Good to hear. And very recognizable. When I first heard about a pan-European movement, I also thought, what? Why isn't it there yet? And why haven't I thought of this? Yeah, some people are true visionaries. Anouk.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I joined Volt in 2020, so I'm probably the youngest, but the oldest in this group. I joined Volt because, yeah, throughout my whole life, I think fairness and a just position for everyone is what driven me. And I came from the NGO sector, and I was going to all these conferences, and it was all about the Sustainable Development Goals. But each conference was really focusing on it from what can it do for us. And I thought, it can't be like that can't be the solution. And these goals are there to make the world better, not to make, for example, the Netherlands, where I'm from, better. And then there was a research, and it was about Europe. And obviously, the usual suspects were doing quite well, usual suspects less. And then the question came from the audience: how are we going to solve that we as Europe come to a decent average? And then the answer was so slim that I thought, this can't be right. And then call it coincidence or faith, I found Volt, and then I thought, yes, let's try to make this work out, at least for Europe, and then we will tackle the rest of the world. And I had no political ambition whatsoever, so I started as general secretary, had a lot of fun meeting all of these enthusiastic members throughout Europe and making this work out, and try to figure out how to make it work out. And we're not there yet, but we are achieving a great stuff and amazing energy that I meet, and I'm now one of the board members of Volt Europa, starting to be politically active too.
Thanks, Anouk. Yes, everybody, it is true. Anouk launched her own Twitter yesterday for the first time ever. Follow Anouk Ooms _Anouk to boost her Twitter followers, so she can spread the message of Volt further. Daniel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel. I'm 38, and I'm based in Luxembourg. I joined Volt in 2019, in January, the end of January, and I had the big chance that on that year, there were European elections, but also a GA in Rome, where I got to meet a lot of those motivated people that truly gave me energy to put also my candidacy as a candidate for the European elections. And we in Luxembourg still have one of the successes of those European elections. We were the ones with the highest number of percentage wise. And yeah, so it's still a victory that we will try to stay in Luxembourg. But why did I join Volt? It's all this positivism and energy. I have always felt it when I was a bit younger and my beard was not so white. I went to a lot of youth exchanges, And there always I saw that Europeans get together, young people get together, they speak the same language, they make actions for the same movements, and that I was never politically engaged. And then I found Volt, and I was like, oh, this comes back to my roots of going throughout Europe and meeting all those amazing European people that have in effect not so many differences between themselves, but are united, but much more than what they think. And yeah, finally I found a party that shared those values. And that's why I joined Volt, because I really feel that we can do something for Europe.
Thanks, Daniel, for the introduction. And indeed, those General Assemblies are amazing. It was also in January 2018 in Bucharest when I was present at a European General Assembly that I decided, okay, I'm going to take up additional responsibility, because I don't only believe in what we are trying to achieve, but I also think the people that I will do it with are a lot of fun, which also helps. Which brings me to a new topic, and that's basically, we're celebrating our 5th birthday. We're going to reflect a bit on the past 5 years and look forward to the next 5 years. So David, you were the first one to join Volt, I think, from everybody in this group. What highlights have you experienced in these years, especially in the beginning? I'm extra curious about that. You had a role as social media manager for years. So maybe can you share a personal highlight in general, and also, or a personal highlight, and what it was like to see the developments of Volt online as social media manager?
All right. Well, in the beginning, we were like, yeah, a one-digit number of people that I interacted with, and lots of things were still happening via emails. And I know lots of people nowadays are complaining, about all the different platforms that Volt is using. But I just want to mention, I appreciate the fact that we just don't have to rely on, pigeons and emails anymore. Either way, it was incredibly interesting just due to the low amount of people, and it changed so rapidly, though. There were more and more meetings and meetups happening all over Europe. And it was difficult because most of them were rather focused on Western Europe, and it only slowly expanded. And I was happy that at some point people started to realize that. And nowadays, when we look at Volt Europa, I think we can proudly say we are not just focused on Western Europe at all, really, when we see how much we are focused on Ukraine and politics right now, of course, but also with successes in Bulgaria and the like. I think we, had some major successes along the road. And I think that ongoing expansion was something that I'm really proud of. And that I hope will go on for the following years.
I forgot I muted myself. Nice, thanks for sharing. And talking about focus that it's not only on Western Europe but also on all the other countries and regions of Europe. Ines, what's it like to be in Poland? Because the Polish team is still, I think, in a phase where that Damian described as the first phase where you just go for it, even though you might sometimes not always feel that you're entirely ready, but just go for it and be entrepreneurial, because that's the way to change things. With that in mind, can you describe the experience with Volt in Poland?
Thank you. That's a very good question. So I had the pleasure to meet a couple of weeks ago the team in Poland, maybe a couple of months, when they were organizing more and starting to meet each other. And I just saw a group of people that have a lot of enthusiasm, but I think above all, something that you don't see in more traditional parties or well-established organizations, which is hope. They are truly hopeful and sure that with time and work, they can change politics in Poland. And considering the present context, everything that this government has done, from limiting women's rights, for example, what they did in the Polish-Belarusian border before the war started. So I think that's the spirit, and that's, I feel, when a team is doing the most and it's working the most together, exactly because they have this hope, they have this ambition, and they have this unwavering belief that things can change if you work enough for it, and if you are able to inspire more and more people. So this is how I would describe it.
Okay, thanks very much. A process of building a pan-European movement is a process of falling, standing up again, falling again, and standing up again, and repeating that process indefinitely. So one of the major hurdles for us is, as a European community as well, where people interact and get to know each other and build friendships, and to feel that energy that Daniel also described, is incredibly important to make sure that people feel the energy to keep going. But 2 years ago, with the pandemic, all of that all of a sudden became impossible. And that was actually quite a hectic phase, and also a phase where the stability of Volt wasn't where it is now. And that was also roughly the phase when Anouk started working for Volt full time. So Anouk, can you perhaps tell us what it was like to be the general secretary for more than a year during the pandemic?
Yeah, actually, I didn't notice it so much as a demotivating situation. I actually joined Volt thinking, how am I going to lead people throughout Europe without even having ever met them, even before COVID hit us? And I think the sheer fact that everyone really wants to be here and really wants to commit their voluntary time makes it such a positive energy that actually I felt super close to people that I have never met, and even actually only met when we were in Lisbon last year in October. And that is such an overwhelming and positive vibe that, yeah, I never felt like we were taken back by COVID, apart from not being able to meet each other more. But I thought we had such a huge advantage towards, let's say, a regular company in the Netherlands, because in the Netherlands, everyone waited to see when, well, they all thought this pandemic will last like a month and then we'll get back to normal. And for us, it was already not normal to be able to just meet each other. And we already went that extra mile. And I'm super impressed with, yeah, the variety of tools that we figured out on how to meet each other. And for example, also how we're going to meet at 8 in an online bar that is actually an experience of a real bar. So yeah, I'm super proud with what I was able to achieve there as General Secretary, with everyone that committed themselves to this.
Thanks. Yes, indeed, there will be a bar at 8 opening up. Make sure to join it. It's going to be fun, celebratory drinks for the 5th birthday. And your comment about that it made you feel proud, that actually leads me to a next question. So thanks for this perfect bridge. There have definitely been moments where I thought to myself, wow, I am so proud to be part of this movement. And I wonder, Kim, did you ever have one of those moments? And when was it? And can you describe it?
There have been many. I think with Volt, I think the interesting thing is that she has so much passion for it that she kind of goes through elation on one moment, she goes through terrible frustration at other moments. But the thing that makes me proud is that I always find that it doesn't matter. Within Volt, we have big fights. We have really passionate, heated fights across all the different channels. But what I always find what always makes me proud about Volt is that somehow we always end up after the fight in a really great place. And I think every single time that kind of my loyalty to Volt or my commitment to the vision of Volt kind of falters, I always find there's something that happens within Volt which brings me right back and says, no, actually I made the right decision. And I think that there are lots of things which make me proud. Like I think the fact that we are so committed to making sure that we have male and female co-leads. as one example of something which, a lot of parties took a long time to make that commitment, and yet we have really embedded that as part of our day-to-day operational reality. The Volt pledge that we've made around systemic inclusion, that's, I think, for a political party to make such a strong commitment and such tough commitments from ourselves, I think is again a moment where I'm really proud. And also just the fact that we indeed, that we are able to use digital technologies to connect as many people as possible, and that we always try to find ways in which we don't leave people behind. I think those are all things which make me incredibly proud in terms of where we were, even in 2018 when we didn't have our first MEP to where we are now. I mean, the speed and the pace by which we've actually grown, and the speed and the pace in which we've matured and we've overcome some really tough challenges and some really tough fights, I think is all source of pride and keeps me hopeful for where Volt will be in the next 5 years.
Thanks, Kim. Makes me smile and brings up a lot of good memories. Daniel, I actually have the same question for you. When did you have a moment that you thought, wow, I'm so proud to be part of this movement? And can you explain it?
Well, it's really, I like the positivism of the movement. And not so long ago, on the 1st of March, I saw something on the campaign of the Volt Netherlands that they were, because on the 1st of March, it was World Compliment Day. And in fact, they did something that for me feels and is truly what embeds Volt, is that they complimented other politicians on their achievements. And so this is a completely a different way how to do politics, not simply bashing the others for the sake of bashing people, but also complimenting them when they do something right. And we are here to change something, and to change politics, you need to change it in a positive way. And that's really, really what I like about Volt, is that when we try to tackle it in a positive way, of course, over the years, many discussions have risen, and some of them were not that positive, and but the outcome, I think, is always positive. And yeah, that's what really sticks me to Volt, and that makes me carry this color, but also this name. Every Saturday I go buy my grocery shopping in a Volt shirt, because I want Volt to be known, and I want Volt to the positivism to be shared in other places. And so it's really it's a small example, but it's those small examples that for me that really matter, because it's in the little things that you see difference.
Cool. It's in the little things that you see difference. That's a good one. I'm going to remember that and repeat it in different contexts. Thanks. One of the moments that I was most proud of Volt was actually when something terrible happened, the fire in Moria on Lesbos. In the week after, we saw our European parliamentary member advocating for different migration policies in the European Parliament. We saw Volt organizing and being part of demonstrations in multiple cities across Europe, from Vienna to Brussels to Amsterdam and further. And we had a huge amount of volunteers that started collecting relief supplies with the initiative called Europe Cares, to bring that to Lesbos to improve the living conditions there. And I think those three things combined really showed for me what a pan-European movement can achieve. And that made me incredibly proud to be part of Volt. Then on to a different topic, and that is actually pan-European collaboration. That's what Volt is all about. So I'm wondering, David, can you give an example of pan-European collaboration that you did in the past years that you think, oh, this one's fun to share?
I don't know if you'd call day-to-day work fun to share, but I don't know. And on the European level with social media, every single week we had and we have, these collaboration calls with every single chapter of Volt. Hey, what are you guys doing? And sometimes something interesting is popping up in Portugal or in Czechia or wherever, and suddenly we turn it into something interesting for all Europeans, just due to the very existence of Volt. And I face that quite a lot. I don't think I have a very specific examples for you guys right now, but it was my day-to-day work, and it made me just proud to be involved.
Thanks. Good to hear. Does anybody else have something in mind that they want to share about what it's like? Yes, Daniel.
Well, one of the first events that I had the honor and the pleasure to organize was the Schengen March, which was an event where we gathered people from, actually also some people from the Netherlands, but we gathered in Schengen where we saw the treaties were signed, and we then crossed the borders with, I believe David was also there, and I met a lot of voters in that first event that are still involved, and that is really, really cool because we crossed the three borders, France, Germany, and Luxembourg, all together in a sign of unity. And I have also not seen another party doing that in such a matter. And it was truly the first event where I got to have my first speech, where I got to organize and call everyone and call the police if we are allowed to cross the bridge and whatever. So it was fun and chaotic. And the outcome was that we got an article or even a TV show on Arte, which I think was a huge boost at the time when we really started Volt. And yeah, that was for me one of the coolest events I participated in.
Nice, good to hear. Yeah, in the beginning, you always need a couple of those boosts. We had a documentary called Tegenlicht in the Netherlands as well that we participated in. That was also one of those boosts for us. So the first time we were in a national newspaper, we had a similar lift in our followers, in our subscribers, in the people that want to become a member, and that really helps. Let's focus a bit on the next 5 years because we have exciting times coming up. Ines, what would you like to see the movement achieve 5 years from now?
Well, I want the movement to achieve a lot of things, so it is really hard to pick one. But I would say that first, I hope we are a political force in the European Parliament. And I hope that in 5 years, we are one of the political forces that assures equal rights across Europe, which do not exist at the moment. And even though, as many of people here, I have a lot of proud moments that I have had in this organization, I think thinking that in 5 years we could be part of that, of changing history for so many women across Europe, I think that would be something in 5 years that I would be extremely happy about. And as Kim was also saying before, this is something that already internally we are working towards.
Thanks, Ines. I would be very happy if we achieve that as well. And I think you made the reference to what Kim said, and I think that is typical for Volt. We want to lead by example to foster a united federal Europe, and that means that actually that the society we envision, we are trying to already put into practice inside our own movement, an inclusive movement with a lot of cross-border collaboration, so that what we envision Europe to collaborate like, that we also put that to use inside Volt. And that is a vision of leading by example that really appeals to me, also because you can adapt it to the entire movement, to individual teams, but also to your individual behavior. I would like to actually ask the same question to you, Anouk. What do you hope the movement achieves in the coming 5 years?
I really hope that we can really reach citizens and listen to them and really be their voices in Europe. And I think that would be the most powerful message we can ever do, because it's about them. It's not about us. Yeah, the real think European, act local, make it happen, make people understand what it means, why Europe is relevant, why it's important for them, and what it can bring for them, and how we can empower them. That would be my biggest achievement in 5 years and all years to come, actually.
Cool. Yeah, I think European, act local really appeals to me as well. And we saw a beautiful example of that during the recent local elections in the Netherlands, the cities of Maastricht and Aken, where we now both have people in the local council, and the city of Liège, where we will have people in the local council in the future. don't know when yet, but it will happen. They already decided to collaborate together and start a cross-border collaboration. So that's really thinking European and acting locally in practice. What about you, Kim? What are your hopes and expectations for the coming 5 years?
Ooh, tough question. I think one of the things I would like to see is definitely this bridging between this kind of European bubble, which is so distant from citizens. And I think Volt being the agent to really bring the citizens' voice at the heart of the policy debates, at the heart of the European project, I think is something I would love to see Volt doing. I also hope that Volt becomes the place where we propose more and more, ever more diverse political lists. I would love to see that Volt is recognized as the party which brings the diversity of voices and the voices unheard, really, and in places where they can be elected and can be voted upon. And I think a lot of parties do the tactical choice of placing them just low enough that they never get elected. And I think Volt can be much more ambitious. And I think we have within the party very much that motivation to do things differently. And I think this is one of the things I'm hoping in 5 years' time we actually achieve. Yes,
I hope so too. Hey, there's a Purple Heart option. That's cool. I'm gonna use that too in the future. I fully agree. Also with the sharing the Purple Heart, and ambition, I think, is a word that suits Volt. Ambition, huge ambitions of changing Europe for the better, to really address these huge challenges of the 21st century. Another word that I always think of if I look at individual Volters is courage, because people have the courage to get up out of the couch and take responsibility, even though there might be uncertainty about what you can achieve and whether you have the skills to do it. But as Damian said, if you don't do anything, you'll never make mistakes. But that's not what we are going for. Another interesting topic that might to look into maybe during this event is what changes has Volt gone through in the past 5 years? Perhaps Daniel, can you share an observation of things that have changed?
Well, we have definitely grown a lot, but I'm still happy that at the core you still recognize faces. But as Damian said, every movement is bound to grow. And unfortunately, that people get demotivated, that people go out. And I still see many of the faces that I have seen for example, in the GA in Rome in 2019. I still see the faces around. I know that for my party, it has been like this. I have been very, very active and then intermittently in pause, I would say, but we are still here. We are all here because we do believe in this project. And this is really what really binds us together, is that we believe in the project. And no matter how much energy you are able yourself to bring in, take care of yourself also, and be wise when it comes to the time that you invest, because Volt is very important. So is your family balance and all those things. And I see people still around, and that enlightens me to be happy and to see that people believe in this.
Yeah, fully agree. And the Volt life balance, I would say, has improved slightly. In the beginning, everybody was like only working, never taking a moment to chill, which is not good at all. We need time to chill and rest and relax. True leaders know when to rest. But still, sometimes we see people getting so enthusiastic that they just continue to spend all their free time on it, which is also beautiful, but runs the risk of not having the right balance with the rest of your life. Anouk, what kind of changes have you seen in the past years?
When I joined, I think we had around 3,000 or 4,000 members, and now it's over 15,000. I mean, can you even imagine? How we reach each other, how we are connected with each other. I think it's all become more tight even, and connecting and forcing each other, or empowering each other is even better, I think. So yeah, I think super cool to see that. And I think that basically sums up my answer. It's super cool to see how much we can achieve if we pull our weight behind it together. And it's super nice to meet everyone to do that.
Cool. Yeah, one of the changes I've also noticed is that as you progress into becoming more and more of a political actor, reaching more followers, having a larger member base, having more elected officials, the dynamics of the work that we need to do also changes, which is a good sign because it shows that there's progress. And I think all these different phases have their beauty. So in the beginning, it's really entrepreneurial, and there's still definitely an entrepreneurial part to it. But now it's become more than organizing, also taking more political positions, being more externally active. And that's important because in the end, we exist to change something in society. And now with the progress, there's also more room for this external focus, while at the same time, there are still in many countries teams that are also in that entrepreneurial phase. Everyone in a local city team, anyone who's starting in a new country really has to just go for it, even if they're not certain about what the outcome may be. We have about 15 minutes left. And I think we might want to philosophize a bit more about the coming 5 years. David, do you have an idea of what the next 5 years might bring, or what you would hope them to bring?
Well, might come as no surprise that as me being half Irish means that I'm also interested in what happens with Northern Ireland. And I hope that that certain island off the Atlantic coast happens to, do a U-turn and return into the European arms. And I do hope that we as Volt will be involved in that process. And I know lots of friends of me personally and acquaintances and anyone out there on social media who is so active and quite upset about the developments ever since 2016, where Britain decided to disconnect themselves from the European family. And I think Volt, as a pan-European party, must never forget that the United Kingdom exists, including Northern Ireland, and that it's an incredibly hard time for private people, for businesses, for anyone related to that. And I think in 5 years, hopefully, we are on the way to improvement in that relationship, UK-EU, and that maybe we also can show some successes, maybe in Scotland with, I think we have quite a lovely team there with Volt Scotland, or in London, or other teams in the UK. So let's hope for the best there.
Yes, definitely. Shout out to everybody from the UK that might be watching now, because we also have active Volt members there and a relatively large chapter. I have another question, and I'm going to ask everybody that's watching this to play along. I haven't thought of an answer yet, and the 6 people in this call don't know that the question is coming either. It's a difficult one because we have to be creative. If you would open a newspaper in 5 years from now and you would read an article about Volt, what do you hope the title is? So we'll take a second to let this sink in so that people at home can think about it as well. So in 5 years from now, you have your Saturday morning cup of coffee, you open a newspaper and you see something about Volt. What do you hope that the title is? Daniel, do you want to go first? Or am I now I'm dodging the ball myself. I can also try something.
No, I can go, because I have thought of something that is in the original values of Volt. And it is in fact that we are able to make political parties such as the one of Marine Le Pen and those far right people, so that Volt strikes a victory against them, not particularly against anything else, but against them, so that we steal the votes of the nationalists, because that would have mean that we were able to convince the people that are left out of politics because it's those that those people speak to, and they are very effective to speak to them. And if we are able to speak to them and steal those votes from the far right, that would make me very, very happy. And I think it's one of the core essence of Volt was built upon that, of all the hatred that came from Brexit and all those negative feelings that it's put in people, that we can influence them with positive feelings, and that we beat the far right.
Thanks. That would be very cool indeed. And I think we have already in an election where we were bigger than the AfD, which was very cool. I forgot which one it was exactly, because we have participated in many elections. Millions of people have already voted for Volt. We participated in elections in 14 different countries, most recently in Malta, where our program was labeled ultra progressive because we were the only ones advocating for legalized abortion, for example, or more LGBT rights, which is in Malta, as a very conservative religious country, a very new sound to be heard. Even though we haven't been elected, it was definitely a campaign that made a splash and made me proud of Volt. So thanks, Daniel, for your answer. And this is just a short intermezzo from my side to give people more time to think about it. Okay, Anouk, let's go to you.
My head would be, like the headline would be, finally a party that truly reflects society. And I think that's where we have to go beyond. Society is way bigger than the highly educated white man. And it should represent all flavors and all colors and everything we can have to offer society, so that we can represent it in parliament, wherever it might be.
Cool, thanks. Finally, a party that represents society. Sounds good. You're also more creative in making it into one catchy sentence. I'm not there yet in my head, so I'm gonna pass the floor to Kim. What would your headline of the newspaper be?
Would be how the Volt touch changed the face of Europe and charmed Europe into a purple wave. So it would be very much about an article which kind of talks about how our DNA, in essence, has managed to break out and created a coalition across the four corners of Europe to vote for us and to create and to unleash this purple wave. That would be amazing.
Cool, thanks. The purple wave. I remember that when we walked through Amsterdam with the General Assembly with hundreds of people wearing purple stuff, and it started raining, and then we all started singing Purple Rain, and then we had this party outside with music and live music and dancing and stuff, and then we had never participated in elections by the time, and then a newspaper wrote, "Who are these people? They are dancing like they have already won the elections," which I think is a fun description. So dancing like we won elections could be it. But for me, I would go for Europe first to become climate neutral thanks to Volt. That would be my one, because I still believe that even though the invasion in Ukraine is now bringing safety to the forefront way more, which is important, and which also increases the need for European unity and support for the Ukrainians. I do believe that in the background, there's still climate change that we also need to address as one of the biggest challenges of our time. So I hope that would be the newspaper article's head in the coming 5 years. Ines, on to you.
This is indeed a very hard question, and I'm going to use something that actually Kim said before. So the headline will be Volt, the party that broke the, or that bursted the Brussels bubble, which is a phrase super well known. And I think it is one of the issues with European politics, is that European politics says that it is serving all citizens, but yet it is very exclusive and only for a few. And as Anouk said, European politics is not just for the white, highly educated men, but it should represent all, it should include all. And I think the power of Volt will be to have those seats at the table, have those seats in the European Parliament, and then add more chairs by really listening to citizens and bringing their voices into the Parliament and into policies. And everyone I meet from the Brussels bubble says, oh, but that is so hard. It's hard. It's not impossible.
Thanks. Hard, but not impossible. That also is a phrase that suits Volt. I think a lot of people have told us, like, you're never going to make it. If we would get €1 for every time that somebody has told that to us, we didn't have a fundraising problem. Talking about fundraising, there is a crowdfunder, especially for our 5th birthday. We need money. That's basically what it comes down to. So here I am once again asking for your money to lead a large movement of volunteers. You need full-timers. You need money for the overhead, for outreach to people. That's why we have a crowdfunding campaign, which is live. Ooh, nice. Another. We have a crowdfunding campaign, which is live, and all the donations that you make now will be doubled by a generous donor. So go to volteuropa.org/donate and volteuropa.org/donate. And then you can help us achieve even more in the coming 5 years. Well, David, would you care to share with us what your newspaper article would be like?
Of course. Mine would be, I think, at some point randomly opening my newspaper and it says, breaking news, Volt creates first faction in newly founded European Senate.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. In a couple of minutes, the social drinks will happen. They're online. A lot of people are also watching this from inside cafes or inside houses with other Volters. There's celebrations all across Europe. Sometimes when you're on a screen by yourself, it may seem like, oh, I'm all by myself. What is this really like? That's why I encourage you to come to a European General Assembly. We will have one in the autumn again. Then you can really see all the people that are part of this European movement from all over our continent and feel the energy live as well. The way to get to the social drinks is by clicking the Google Calendar link that you've achieved or received, or by clicking the link that was part of the email with the invitation for this event and the celebratory message of our happy birthday. That email also contains a link to the crowdfunder. Don't forget to donate. Every euro is more than welcome. Donations, big or small, we accept them all. It rhymes and it's true. But seriously, without money, we cannot achieve anything. So we also ask you not only to donate, but to also share this message to friends and family so that they can support our project to change the future of Europe for the better. As a final round, I'm going to ask everybody to describe what Volt is for them in one word, and or what the past 5 years have been like for you in one word. I will close the round and I will start with Anouk.
Bold.
Bold. Be bold, vote Volt. Kim.
Optimistic.
Optimistic. Ines.
Hopeful.
David.
Damn, Ines stole it. All right. I opt for democratic of pure essence.
Democratic. Thanks. Danielle?
Positive.
Positive. I will cheat the system. I will use 2 words, and those 2 words are thank you, because you have made this all possible. We are a movement with thousands of volunteers and tens of thousands of supporters, and without them supporting our cause, this would not be possible. One of the most beautiful things for Volt for me in the past 5 years, and the lucky position that I'm in as co-president of Volt Europe, who started as country lead in the Netherlands, is that I've seen it grow, and that I've seen how small actions build up to something that is larger than the sum of all its parts. And that is beautiful. And I want to thank everybody that has contributed to that. Also, Anouk, Ines, Kim, David, and Daniel, thank you for being here. I hope to drink with you at the social drinks that are starting now. Happy birthday, everybody. Don't forget to celebrate and see you in the online bar. Goodbye. Ciao, ciao.